My name's Carson Becke. I'm a classical pianist. I live close to Wakefield and I run an organization called Collines-en-musique. The big picture goal is to create or lay a foundation for a really good relationship between the musicians of this region and the visual artists so that we can, over the next, couple of decades, hopefully, create some really, really big projects that are meaningful artistically, that speak to all the different levels of history and economics and art happening in the region. I'm writing a piece based on a painting or a set of paintings by Alisha Reily-Roe. Artistically, I've never actually written a piece of music based on a piece of art before, or a piece of visual art. So my goal is, with that piece, is to see if I can really, using the kind of musical language, bring to life the feelings that I get from seeing that painting. Everybody from the get-go wanted to make it happen. I mean, there's 4 of us from my group that are participating as musicians. So there's myself, there's cellist and composer Julia MacLaine, clarinet player Juan Olivares, and singer Megan Lindsay. So for me, this project, it's a very direct connection between the musicians of our organization, Collines-en-musique, with the studio tour, so visual artists. But we also want to make sure that in the event we're acknowledging the lands that we're doing this on through the food that's produced from the land. So that's why we're collaborating with the Village House, and all the food that they're producing for the weekend will be sourced from local farms, so that it's really food from the region. So it's music, art, and food all kind of from this area. I had a pretty specific idea for the piece that I wanted to write. Alisha has these paintings. I mean, her landscape paintings are pretty phenomenal. They, if you just looked at them quickly, you would think they were photographs. Like the level of hyper detail and hyper realism that she attains is really stunning. So I was immediately taken by that when I first saw her work. But then she also captures a particular atmosphere and moment that I think is totally unique to this region.
Well, I find that the Gatton Hills are very special because they're so old.
Yeah.
There's a sacred feeling to them. And then seeing all the farm fences of rocks through the overgrown brush and old tree or old horse jumps and wells and foundations of cabins.
Yeah.
It's so interesting.
Well, I have a fun time going through photos to decide what I want to paint, and I have sort of some on the back burner that I've been wanting to for a while, and I'll draw from that. And those are all from all my adventures. So I guess you would say that my adventure or my painting starts from being out and experiencing it. Then I'll start with a underpainting of a bright color, usually an orange, cadmium yellow, so that I don't have to paint a composition on a white canvas, and I can have a brightness come through when I paint over it. And I'll go quickly through with acrylic to get the composition and get everything right. Once everything is as I want it to be, then I'll start with oil and do all my details with oil, and take my time. So I can go all day long, and my oil paint on my canvas or on my palette won't have dried, so I can mix, I can do all sorts of things to it, which is why I use the acrylic to begin with, so that I can do many layers that dry fast and do the next layer, and get to a point as fast as possible, and take more time with the oil painting.
Are you often basing your paintings on photographs that you took?
Yeah,
okay.
And I do particularly like to go out at that time of day when it's before sunset.
Oh, yes.
This is more obvious. First you have golden light, and then it gets quieter. So you have the whole range of, and then of course the light is really lovely.
Yeah.
And then how the snow is so blue when it has no light on it.
I never thought about snow as blue, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, a lot of blue in there. If you look at a hole, you see a lot of blue down in the shadow.
That's crazy.
I find that nature moves me a lot, and also rejuvenates me and inspires me. it's super fun to go get my exercise in nature, whether it's skiing or biking or walking, swimming. And also, I love to live in nature. I haven't lived in a city. I did live in Montreal going to university, and that was super fun. But since then, I've lived in small mountain towns or Chelsea, always in the middle of nowhere. Yeah.
The piece almost doesn't need to be hyper-specific to one painting. It can be sort of about the idea. So it could be about a series of, because like I feel like this painting, these as images, like you're kind of dealing with the same subject from lots of different angles. Yeah, I hadn't really thought about that. The piece could be about just your painting of those subjects from all these different angles. It doesn't necessarily need to be about this piece is about this painting.
Yeah.
If you go out into the middle of the forest and it's like January 20th and it's minus 30 and you go for a ski way off into the bush at around 4 p.m., it gets dark at like 5:15. There's that kind of moment at around 5 o'clock when the sun is like on its way down, the whole world is frozen. Snow has an insulating effect, so it kind of deadens all sound. If you're far enough out into the forest, you can stop in the middle of the trail and you hear absolutely nothing. You can actually just hear your own heartbeat and your own breath if you've just like gone up a big hill. And that kind of feeling is like irreplaceable for me. I find that just totally magical. So often when I'm out skiing, I do just kind of stop because I think that's just a totally unique phenomenon. There's very few places in life where you could just be out in the world and just experience total serene silence. So she has a set of paintings that depict places in which I've experienced that. So I thought, I think I can create music that will give the viewers that experience. It's also a bit of a paradox. I'm writing something that requires volume and sound to evoke something that is soundless. Being an artist means that you're involved with trying to get at the heart of what it is to be human from lots of different perspectives. So for me, music is a way of connecting with a part of our humanity that can't be accessed through words. I think it's similar in a way to what visual art can do, in that by looking at it, you experience things that are very difficult to put into words. I mean, that's the whole point, is that I think art forms like music, like visual art, like some kinds of theater, kind of go beyond the boundaries of what we can describe in language, and they hit parts of our brain that are very, very deep. So to me, that's kind of what I'm most interested in as an artist. I think that's what music can do better than pretty much anything else.